arrogant female CEO marries a black man in a mass wedding. This is really shocking news. What made her come to this decision? More importantly, what happened after that? Drop number 1 if you are very eager to get into the story. Number 2 if you don't like this idea in the comment section. Subscribe to our channel and share, we come right to it. The wind howls outside Cook County Hospital, rattling the chipped windows as the clock ticks past midnight. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting a harsh glow over the peeling linoleum floor, and the air's thick with the sting of antiseptic mixed with the faint bitterness of stale, vending machine coffee. Lena Harris stands in the corridor, her breath fogging the glass as she stares into the waiting room, hands shoved deep into the pockets of a thrift store coat that hangs off her frame like a bad memory. Her hair's a tangled mess, nails chipped, a far cry from the polished CEO who'd once commanded boardrooms with a flick of her wrist. 3 months ago, she was sipping champagne in a penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan. Now she's shivering in a Southside hospital, watching a man she barely knows strum a beat-up guitar like it's the only thing keeping him tethered to the world. Malik Jackson sits on a plastic chair, surrounded by a weary crowd, old folks in threadbare jackets clutching crumpled tissues, a young mom rocking a coughing kid, a guy in a stained Cubs cap muttering to himself. He's in his janitor scrubs, faded green and patched at the knees, the guitar resting easy across his lap. His fingers move slow, deliberate, pulling a melody from the strings that feels like it's been carved out of Chicago's underbelly. Then he sings, voice low and rough, cutting through the hum of the hospital like a blade. Cold streets hum a lullaby, shadows stretch where dreams go dry. It's Chicago lullaby, his own creation, words heavy with cracked sidewalks and lost hopes. The crowd listens, some with eyes closed, others nodding like they've lived every damn line. Lena doesn't move, doesn't breathe. She's not sure why she's here, something about needing to see him, to figure out the stranger she married on a drunken whim, but as the notes bounce off the peeling walls, something inside her cracks. For the first time in months, she feels small. Not the disgraced CEO of HealthSync who tanked a startup with a single scandal. Not the tabloid punching bag dubbed #CEO Scam Queen, just small, raw, human. The song fades, and Malik looks up, catching her eye through the glass. He doesn't smile, just nods, like he'd known she'd show up. Lena turns away, heart thudding against her ribs, and whispers, "What the hell am I doing?" Rewind 3 months, and Lena Harris was a different beast. 34, sharp-edged, all tailored suits and a corner office with a view of the lake. She'd built HealthSync from nothing, a medical data startup that promised to change the game, pitched it to Silicon Valley hotshots, watched it soar, until it crashed. The numbers got cooked not by her, but by her slimy CFO and his crew. Revenue inflated, books fudged, and when the SEC stormed in, they pinned it all on her. Fired overnight, reputation torched, trending online for all the wrong reasons. The penthouse? Sold. The savings? Eaten by lawyer fees. Now she's holed up in a South Side dump, a 1-bedroom with spotty heat and roaches that don't even flinch when she walks in. One morning, she's scrolling a cracked phone, nursing instant coffee that tastes like burnt regret, when she spots it. An ad on some sketchy forum. Free mass wedding at Bronzeville Community Church, all welcome. A charity gig, food, vows, a clean slate for anyone desperate enough to bite. She laughs, bitter and loud. A wedding? Me? But then stops. No job, no friends, no lifeline. Maybe a random husband could shake the deck. Screw it, she mutters, tossing the mug in the sink. What's the worst that could happen? Cut to a Saturday in Bronzeville, a beat-up neighborhood where history clings to the bricks. The church is ancient, crumbling at the edges, but it's buzzing today, packed with lost souls and dreamers. A line snakes out the door. A dude clutching a beer can in a stained hoodie, a mom with 3 kids yanking her skirt, an old lady in a Sunday hat like she's here for romance. Lena sticks out, last decent blazer clinging to her shoulders, hair yanked back, pretending she's not drowning. The air's thick with fried chicken and cheap cologne, a gospel choir wailing Amazing Grace up front. She's signing the registry, pen shaky, when someone bumps her. Watch it, she snaps, spinning to face a guy in flannel and jeans, hands jammed in his pockets. He's tall, broad, scruffy beard and eyes that look tired as hell. My bad, he says, voice smooth but worn. You here for the free cake too? She snorts. Something like that. You? He shrugs. Figured it'd be nice to have someone cook for me for once. Name's Malik. Lena. She shoots back, sizing him up. So, you're here to find a wife who can cook? Nah, he grins, crooked and easy. Just someone who looks like they can pay bills. You seem like the type. She rolls her eyes, but there's a flicker something loose about him. Like he doesn't give a damn what she thinks. Before she can snap back, the pastor booms, next couple. And in the chaos of random pairings, they're shoved together. Vows are fast, rings a plastic toy from a gumball machine, and boom, they're hitched. Lena stares at the paper Malik Jackson and Lena Harris, legally married, and feels her gut twist. This is insane, she mutters. Malik chuckles, chill as ever. Welcome to Chicago, baby. They step out as man and wife, and the sky cracks open, rain slamming down, soaking them instantly. The crowd bolts, leaving them on the church steps. Lena's blazer sticks to her, mascara streaking, Malik's flannel turning dark gray. He pulls his hood up, glances at her. You good? She doesn't answer right away, rain roaring, drowning out the world. She looks at him, really looks, wondering what she stepped into. A janitor, she'd heard someone whisper. Works at the hospital, lives in Englewood. Rough as it gets. And her? A broke ex-CEO with nothing but baggage. Yeah, she lies, voice lost in the storm. I'm good. He nods, like he knows she's full of it but won't call her out. Come on. My place ain't far. You're soaked. They trudge off into the downpour. Two strangers tied by a flimsy certificate and a reckless choice. 3 months later, she'll stand outside that hospital waiting room, hearing him sing, realizing this was the start of something she never bargained for. But that's later. For now, it's just rain and silence. Hey, if you're curious how this crazy marriage pans out or if Lena's gonna make it with Malik, smash that subscribe button. Drop a comment too. Think she's got the guts to stick around? Let's find out together next time. It's been a week since the wedding, and Lena's standing in the middle of Malik's apartment in Englewood, where the wail of sirens is a constant hum and the streetlights flicker like they're ready to give up. The place is cramped, peeling wallpaper stained yellow, a couch that groans under her weight, a kitchen counter buried under greasy takeout boxes, and a wilted plant that's more brown than green. The air hangs heavy with damp wood and the faint sizzle of something frying next door. Her suitcase, the last tether to her old life, sits untouched by the door. She's got no other options. And Malik's offhand, you can crash here from the church steps, has landed her in this mess. He walks in, kicking off scuffed sneakers, still in those worn janitor scrubs, and tosses his keys onto the counter with a clatter. Welcome to the palace, he says, voice dry as he gestures at the chaos. Don't trip over the 5-star amenities. She plants her hands on her hips, eyebrow arched. 5-star? This place looks like it's one roach away from a health code violation. He laughs, deep and real, cutting through the tension like a knife. You're funny. Hungry? I got ramen or ramen. She sighs, sinking into the couch with a creak, feeling the springs dig into her back. Great. Married a gourmet chef. They eat in silence, steam rising from chipped bowls of cheap noodles, the only sound the occasional drip from a leaky faucet. She watches him across the table, trying to piece him together. He's quiet, not timid, but guarded, like he's got secrets tucked behind those tired eyes. A stack of scratched vinyl records leans in the corner, a faded photo of a woman with his same sharp jaw pinned to the fridge with a magnet. She doesn't ask, not yet. Friday night creeps in, and Malik's heading out, guitar slung over his shoulder like it's an extension of him. Got a gig, he says, casual as if he's grabbing milk from the corner store. Lena's restless, bored out of her skull, so she follows, tugging on a hoodie she dug out of his closet that smells faintly of cedar and sweat. The rain's back, slapping the pavement as they trek 3 blocks to a dive bar. The Rusty Nail, its neon sign half dead, buzzing faintly. Inside, it's a haze of cigarette smoke and stale beer, the floor tacky under her boots. A handful of regulars slump at the bar, leather-skinned guys nursing whiskey, a woman in a leopard print top cackling too loud. The stage is a joke, a corner platform strung with flickering Christmas lights, but Malik climbs up, tunes his guitar with quick flicks of his wrist, and starts playing. It's Chicago lullaby again. Rougher here, unpolished chords slicing through the bar's din like they're clawing for air. His voice digs deep, gritty and warm, singing of sleepless nights and dreams that bleed out with the sunrise. Lena leans against the wall, arms crossed, watching. She's no music buff, never cared for it, but this hits different, raw and alive. The crowd claps when he finishes, sparse but genuine, a few tossing crumpled bills into a dented coffee can. He steps down, wiping sweat from his brow with his sleeve, and catches her staring. "What?" he says, that half smirk tugging at his lips. "You're good," she admits, almost pissed about it. "Like really good." He shrugs, slinging the guitar back on. "It's just noise. Keeps me sane." Back at the apartment, the buzz from the bar fades fast. Lena's pacing, her old CEO instincts itching numbers, opportunities, leverage. "You ever think about doing more with that?" she asks, leaning on the counter as he unpacks his gear. "Like real stages, real money." He doesn't look up, just keeps fiddling with the guitar case. "Been there, tried that. Didn't stick." "What's that mean?" she pushes, voice sharpening. "You're wasting your talent in this dump." He stops, turns, eyes narrowing like she's crossed a line. "Wasting? I've got a job, a roof, and my brother's still breathing." "That's not wasting." "Your brother?" She catches the hitch in his tone, steps closer. "What's that got to do with it?" He hesitates, then lets out a long breath, rubbing his beard. "Jamal. He's 16. Got a bad heart born with it. Couple years back, some suit from a label offered me a deal. Big tour, big cash. But it meant leaving Chicago, leaving him. I said no." Lena stares, gears turning. "So you're stuck here, playing for tips because of him?" "Don't say it like that," he snaps, voice cutting sharp enough to make her flinch. "He's family. You don't get it, do you? Not everything's about climbing some ladder." She bristles, old fire flaring up. "Maybe not, but you could be something. You're throwing it away." "I'm not throwing shit away." He fires back, loud now, raw. "You think I don't know what I've got? I chose this. You want to talk throwing stuff away? Look at yourself running from whatever mess you left behind." The air locks up, his words hanging like smoke. She wants to hit back, but he's right, and that burns worse than anything. She grabs her coat, storms out into the rain, the door slamming behind her with a bang that echoes down the hall. She's halfway down the block, soaked to the bone, fuming under a flickering streetlight, when her phone buzzes an unknown number. She answers, voice clipped. "Yeah, Lena Harris?" Smooth, too slick for this part of town. "This is Vince Carter. I saw a clip from that wedding. Your husband's got a hell of a voice. We need to talk." She freezes, rain dripping off her hood, pooling at her feet. Vince Carter, the Vince Carter? The music mogul who turned bar singers into platinum acts? She'd heard his name tossed around at rooftop parties in her startup days. "How'd you get this number?" "Doesn't matter," he says, cool and clipped. "I've been looking for Malik Jackson for years. Slipped through my fingers once. You're mine now. Meet me tomorrow, Loop, 10 a.m. We'll make him a star. And maybe fix that little PR disaster of yours while we're at it." The call cuts out. Lena stares at the blank screen, heart hammering. She glances back at the apartment, lights still on, Malik's shadow pacing inside. Her mind races, his talent, her reputation, a lifeline. She mutters, "This could be my comeback." A week after the fight, Lena's still reeling, her head a mess of anger and Vince's promise as she steps into the sleek glow of a Loop cafe, all glass walls and overpriced lattes. The downtown crowd buzzes, suits on Bluetooths, interns clutching laptops worlds away from Englewood's grit. She's in her last decent outfit, a blazer stretched thin at the elbows, trying to channel the old Lena, the one who owned rooms like this. Vince Carter's already there, sprawled in a corner booth, a shark in a tailored jacket, sipping espresso like he's got all the time in the world. He's older than she expected, gray streaks in his hair, lines carved deep around his eyes, but his grin's pure predator. "Lena Harris," he says, voice smooth as silk, the fallen queen of HealthSync. "Sit." She does, stiff, clutching her bag like a shield. You said you've got a plan for Malik. He leans forward, elbows on the table. I've got more than a plan. I've got a vision. Saw that wedding clip, him singing in that church? Rawest damn thing I've heard in years. Kid's a goldmine and I let him slip once. Not again. She nods, slow, testing the waters. He's good. But he's stubborn. Turned you down before, right? Vince chuckles, sharp. Yeah, some sob story about his brother. Loyalty's cute, but it don't pay bills. That's where you come in, convince him. I'll get him stages, tours, a fat contract. And you? He smirks. I'll spin your little scandal into a redemption arc. Disgraced CEO finds a diamond in the rough press'll eat it up. Her pulse quickens, her name clean, her life back. What's the catch? No catch, he says, sliding a card across the table. Just get him to say yes. Call me when it's done. She takes the card, fingers trembling, and leaves with her head spinning. Malik's voice, her comeback, all tangled up in Vince's game. Back in Englewood, the rain's let up, but the air's still thick, pressing down on the cracked streets. Lena walks into the apartment, finding Malik on the couch, guitar in his lap, strumming soft chords. He doesn't look up. Thought you bailed, he says, voice flat. Had to think. She replies, dropping her bag, Vince's card burning a hole in her pocket. She hesitates, then sits across from him, the silence heavy. I heard you at the hospital last night, she starts, careful. Playing for those people. It was different. He glances at her, fingers stilling. Jamal had a checkup. They like the music, keeps them calm. She nods, leaning in. You ever think about doing that bigger? Not bars, real crowds, real impact. He sets the guitar aside, eyes hard. We've been over this. I'm not leaving him. I'm not saying leave. She pushes, voice rising. Just more. You could help him and do this. He stands, pacing tight. You don't get it. I had my shot, Vince Carter, big promises. Said no cause Jamal needed me here, not some tour bus across the country. Mom died cause we couldn't pay the bills, ain't letting that happen again. The words hit her like a punch, his mom. The stakes, the weight he carries. She softens, but Vince's offer gnaws at her. What if it's different this time? Money for Jamal. For you? He stops, stares. What are you fishing for? Lena? Before she can answer, the door creaks open. Jamal shuffles in. 16 and skinny. Oxygen tube clipped to his nose, face pale under the dim light. He's got Malik's eyes, sharp but sunken, and a grin that's too big for his frame. Yo, you two fighting again? He says, voice raspy but teasing. Malik softens instantly, ruffling his hair. Nah, just talking loud. You good? Jamal nods, plopping onto the couch. Doc says I'm a champ. Heard you singing last night, got the nurses swooning. Lena watches them, the easy bond, and feels a pang, guilt, maybe, or something softer she can't name. She catches Jamal's eye. He's pretty good. Huh? Best, Jamal says, proud. Should be famous, but he's too stubborn. Malik shoots him a look. Don't start. The room quiets, and Lena's stuck Vince's card in her pocket. Malik's past spilling out, Jamal's frail hope tying it all together. Later, she's alone in the kitchen, staring at the fridge photo. Malik's mom, smiling, young, gone too soon. The fight replays in her head, his words about choosing family over fame. She pulls out Vince's card, ready to call, when she hears it. Malik and Jamal in the living room, laughing over some dumb TV show. The small, real, nothing like the polished pitches she used to sell. Her thumb hovers over the dial button, then stops. She shoves the card back, unsettled, and heads to bed. But sleep doesn't come. Vince's voice loops in her mind, promising a way out. Next morning, Jamal's gone quiet. Malik's at work, and Lena's cleaning the kitchen, busy work to dodge her thoughts when she finds his note under a cereal box. Tell Malik to chase his dreams. I'm fine. Her stomach drops. She bolts to the hospital, calls Malik on the way. His voice cracks when he picks up. He's gone. What the hell, Lena? They meet at the entrance. Rain starting again, cold and relentless. He heard us, she says, breathless. Thinks he's holding you back. Malik's face twists, anger, fear, love. Kid's gonna kill himself trying to save me. They split up, tearing through Englewood's alleys, rain blurring the world. She shouts his name into the wind, guilt choking her pushing, her scheming. Now this. Malik's ahead, coat flapping, calling out in a voice that breaks. They find him under a sagging awning, slumped against a shuttered storefront, rain pooling around his sneakers. His breathing's shallow, oxygen tube dangling loose, note crumpled in his hand. Malik drops to his knees, pulling him close, rain mixing with tears on his face. "You idiot," he mutters, voice wrecked. "Don't you ever do that again." Lena stands back, soaked, heart pounding, watching the Malik cradling Jamal like he's the only thing that matters. She thinks of Vince, the card, her big comeback, and it all feels hollow. Jamal's out there risking it all. Will he pull through? Smash that subscribe button to find out, and drop a comment. You feeling Malik's panic or Lena's guilt? Next part's gonna hit hard. The hospital's a blur of white walls and beeping machines as they rush Jamal inside. Rain still dripping off Malik's coat onto the slick floor. Lena trails behind, soaked to the bone, her boots squeaking with every step. The waiting room's packed, same tired faces from that night she heard Malik sing, now staring at them with quiet worry. Malik's a mess, pacing tight circles, hands clenched like he's ready to punch through the drywall. He's gotta be okay, he mutters, more to himself than her. He's gotta. A nurse calls him back, and he disappears behind swinging doors, leaving Lena alone with the hum of the heater and her own gnawing guilt. She sinks into a chair, replaying it all, pushing Malik, Vince's offer, Jamal's note. She digs out the card from her pocket, stares at Vince's name in crisp black ink, a lifeline she'd clung to. Her phone's heavy in her hand, but she doesn't dial. Not yet. Hours crawl by, the clock ticking past 3 a.m. Malik finally comes out, eyes red, scrubs swapped for a dry hoodie someone must have scrounged up. He drops into the seat next to her, voice low. He's stable. Docs say he needs surgery, heart's worse than they thought. Soon. She nods, throat tight. How much? He rubs his face, exhausted. More than I've got. Way more. She hesitates, then pulls out Vince's card, sliding it across the armrest. He called me. Wants to sign you, big money, big stages. Could cover this. Malik stares at it, jaw tight, then flicks it back. Told you I'm not leaving him. You wouldn't have to, she says, urgent now. Record here, stay local just enough to pay. He shakes his head, bitter. You don't know Vince. It's never just enough. He'll own me, and I'll be gone when Jamal needs me most. She wants to argue, but his eyes stop her hard. Sure, carrying years she can't touch. The next day, Vince shows up unannounced, striding into the hospital like he owns it. All swagger and a leather jacket that screams money. Lena's there with Malik, waiting for Jamal's latest labs. When Vince claps Malik on the shoulder like they're old pals. Heard about the kid, tough break, he says, smooth as ever. But I've got the fix. Sign with me, I'll front the surgery cash today. You're too good for this dump, man. Malik tenses, stepping back. Not interested. Vince smirks, undeterred, and turns to Lena. You're the brains here, talk some sense into him. This is your shot too, sweetheart. She bristles at sweetheart, but the offer hangs there. Jamal's life, Malik's dream, her redemption. Malik's glaring at her now, daring her to push. Don't, he warns, voice low. She opens her mouth, closes it, trapped. That night, she's back at the apartment, alone, Malik still at the hospital. The place feels emptier without them. Jamal's sneakers by the door, Malik's guitar leaning against the couch. She's restless, digging through her suitcase. When her fingers brush something cold, the engagement ring from her old life, platinum and diamonds, a relic of a fiancé who bailed when health sync tanked. She'd kept it, a last shred of pride, but now it glints like an answer. She grabs her coat, heads out into the dark. Rain starting again, soft but steady. The pawn shop's a hole in the wall on 63rd. Neon buzzing, cash now in the window. The guy behind the counter, all gold teeth and cigarette breath, weighs it, squints. $2,000, he grunts. Take it or leave it. It's worth 10 times that. But she doesn't blink. Deal. The cash feels dirty in her hands, crumpled bills stuffed into her pocket as she walks back, rain soaking her through. She finds Malik at the hospital, slumped in a chair by Jamal's bed. The kid's asleep, hooked to machines that beep too slow. She drops the cash on the table, 2 stacks of 20s and 50s. For the surgery, she says, voice steady. He stares, confused, then angry. Where'd you get this? Sold something, she says, simple. No Vince, no strings. Just take it. He picks up a bill, looks at her like he's seeing her for the first time. You didn't have to do that. Yeah, she says, meeting his eyes, I did. The air shifts, something unspoken passing between them, trust, maybe, or the start of it. He nods, slow, and tucks the cash away. Later, they sit in silence, watching Jamal breathe. Malik breaks it, voice soft. Mom died when I was 19. Couldn't afford the meds, heart gave out. Jamal was a baby then. Swore I'd never let it happen again. She listens still, then says, I played violin once. Gave it up, parents said it wouldn't pay. Guess I've been chasing the wrong shit ever since. He looks at her, a flicker of a smile. Guess we both have. It's not much, but it's real, a crack in the walls they've built. Jamal's surgery comes fast, 2 days after Lena hands over the cash, and the hospital's a tense haze of antiseptic and hurried footsteps. Malik's a wreck, pacing the waiting room, hoodie pulled tight over his head like it'll shield him from the what-ifs. Lena's there too, perched on a hard plastic chair, coffee gone cold in her hands. She doesn't say much, doesn't need to, just stays. A quiet anchor while the clock drags on. Hours later, the doctor emerges, mask dangling, and gives them the nod. He's through. Tough kid, should pull out okay. Malik exhales, a shaky laugh breaking free, and Lena feels her shoulders drop, relief washing over her like rain. They head in to see him. Jamal's groggy, pale, but grinning through the haze of meds. Told you I'm a champ, he croaks, and Malik ruffles his hair, voice thick. Yeah, you are. Back at the apartment, things shift lighter, but fragile, like they're all testing new ground. Malik's strumming his guitar one night, soft chords filling the cramped space, when Jamal pipes up from the couch, still weak but stubborn. You gotta play somewhere big, bro, stop hiding. Malik snorts. Not this again. I'm serious, Jamal insists, sitting up, tubes gone but his breath still short. I'm good now, you don't gotta babysit me. Lena watches, quiet, the echo of Vince's offer still nagging at her. She doesn't push, not after everything, but Malik catches her eye, like he knows what she's thinking. Drop it, both of you, he says, firm but tired. This is enough. Vince doesn't let it go, though he's back a week later, cornering Malik outside the hospital as he's hauling trash from his shift. Lena's there, picking up coffee for them, when she spots them, Vince in his slick jacket, Malik in scrubs, tension crackling. Kid's fixed, right? Vince says, all teeth. No excuses now. Sign with me, Chicago launch, 6 figures up front. You're wasting time. Malik's jaw tightens. Told you no. Ain't changing. Vince laughs, sharp. You're a fool. This city'll chew you up and spit you out. Give me one good reason to stay small. Malik steps close, voice low. 'Cause I don't need your lights to shine. That's reason enough. Vince smirks, turns to Lena. You're letting him throw this away? Thought you were smarter. She stiffens, but before she can snap back, Malik's already walking off, leaving Vince in the dust. That night, Malik's restless, strumming harder than usual, the chords jagged. Lena's on the couch, watching. You okay? She asks, tentative. He stops, sets the guitar down. He's right about one thing, Chicago's brutal. But I don't trust him. Never did. She nods, slow. You don't have to. You've got something real here, those people at the hospital, Jamal, this. He looks at her, searching. You think that's enough? Yeah, she says, surprised she means it. I do. Word gets around, someone from the bar mentions Malik to a local organizer, and soon he's got an invite to play a community gig in Bronzeville, no contract, no pressure. He hesitates, but Jamal's relentless, and Lena nudges too, gentle this time. Just one night, she says. See how it feels. He agrees, grudgingly, and the night rolls in a block party by the church, air thick with barbecue smoke and laughter. kids darting through the crowd. The stage is makeshift, a flatbed truck strung with lights, but it's alive. Malik climbs up, guitar in hand, and the crowd hushes neighbors, hospital regulars, faces he knows. Lena's there, off to the side, blending in for once, no blazer, just a borrowed jacket from Malik's closet. He plays Chicago lullaby, slow at first, then building voice raw, carrying over the street, weaving their story into every note. The crowd sways, some singing along, others just listening, eyes bright. Jamal's up front, beaming, weak but standing, and Lena feels it hit pride, maybe, or something deeper. When he finishes, the cheers are loud, messy, real, not a stadium, but home. He steps down, finds her in the crowd. "You sticking around for this?" he says, half smiling. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." She shoots back, and it's true, she's not running anymore. They walk back together, streets quiet now, Jamal trailing behind with a borrowed hoodie swallowing his frame. The apartment's still a dump, but there's records stacked, photo on the fridge, guitar by the couch. Malik sits, strums a few notes, and Lena settles next to him, the silence easy. She thinks about health sync, the ring, Vince, all ashes now, and she's okay with that. Jamal flops down, grinning. "Told you you're a star." Malik rolls his eyes, but there's a lightness there, a crack in the weight he's carried. Chicago lullaby softly echoed. So that's it for Malik and Lena. Have they found their ending yet? Subscribe for more stories like this and leave a comment. What did you learn from their journey?